Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil Colonna, and this is Nashville. Today, we're celebrating one of our state's most beautiful resources, our natural waterways. Jumping in to swim or paddle can be the perfect way to cool down in all this heat. It's also a great way to recharge and have fun. There are tons of ways to get out and enjoy and explore the water. Now, unfortunately, the Coast Guard reports that recreational paddler fatalities have been on the rise, and most of these occur on easy Class 1 and Class 2 waterways. So today we're going to be talking about what you need to know to find the best ways to enjoy our waterways and the things you need to keep in mind to make sure you have fun and you can be safe. Joining us to share their love of water are Nashville-based stand-up paddleboarder Joel Morales and Tennessee Parks Ranger Candace Daniels. Ranger Daniels is joining us from Harrison Bay State Park outside of Chattanooga, where she's currently helping run a youth boater education week. She's also an American Canoe Association Level 2 kayak and canoe instructor. Joel, Ranger Daniels, thanks so much for being here. Welcome to This Is Nashville.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Really great to have you both here. Okay, Joel, I want to start with you. You're an avid stand-up paddleboarder. You've been doing it for a few years now. For those who really don't know what exactly stand-up paddleboarding is, or I think you guys call it supping, could you describe it for us?
Yeah, absolutely. It is exactly what it mentions. It's a stand-up paddleboard, so it is a board that you can use to stand up and paddle on. You can also use it as a sit-down paddle as well. But it's a recreational sport that it really has taken off lately.
Now, do you need to be very athletic to work one of these stand-up paddleboards?
Absolutely not. I think that anyone at any level can come in and stand up paddleboard.
Anyone at any level.
Absolutely. The
what was it like the first time you tried?
It was a little scary. I mean, to be honest with you, it was part of a date
really?
that I was going on. Yeah. My now husband and I were going on our first date, and I didn't want to admit that I had never stand-up paddleboard before.
Okay.
But he was an avid boarder then, and I had no experience, but it was pretty easy to fake.
Pretty easy fake. So you rose to the challenge instead of, how did it feel when you were out there?
It was really freeing. I mean, it was a little intimidating at first as someone who had never been on one, but, you can quickly get the hang of it, especially, if you're on a board with a lot of balance.
Well, it really paid off on the first date, and now you're married.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've become a fan of that sport and activity. What do you love most about it?
It's the calmness. I think that, you're getting a really great workout if you've got, a board that requires more balance on your end. But also it's just, a way to get out on the water, get into nature. And it's something that you can do on your own or with people.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ranger Daniels, you work for the Park Service helping kids and adults get out on the water and have a safe time. Where did your love for the water start?
My love for the water started as a young child. I grew up near the New River, and then later on moved to Virginia to get to the South Fork of the Holston. So I've been around water my entire life, and my love for it just grows each and every year.
Well, okay, you're a lifelong water fan. How do you enjoy the water most these days?
Well, I have a variety of paddlecraft, including a pontoon boat and a jet ski, but I would say that canoeing and kayaking and paddleboarding, I really enjoy getting out with the kayak to go fishing. It gets me closer to where I want to be to get the fish that I want to get. So I'd say kayaking is my number one.
We're going to talk about some kayaking, fishing later on in the show. Now, have you tried stand-up paddleboarding like Joel does?
Yes, I own a paddleboard myself.
Okay. You enjoy it, I imagine.
Absolutely. And I agree with everything he said. It's great for beginners to all levels.
Okay, so I got a question. Before anyone gets out on the water, how do they find out where to go?
So there's a variety of ways to do that. I would recommend going to tnstateparks.com. If you're interested in going to a state park in Tennessee, we have a variety of parks that have bodies of water on them. So I would go to that website. You can go there. There'll be a few tabs. You can find a park or go to the tab activities and events and go to paddling, and it'll pull up several paddling events or even the boat rentals that are available for any park that you pull up. Or you can go to the upcoming events and you can filter by the program or the region of what you would like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd recommend starting there.
Okay, and note for listeners here in Nashville, the Nashville Metro Parks offers information about the rivers and lakes in the area like Percy Priest, Stones River, and Harpeth River. Joel, let me ask you this, though. Here in Nashville, where do you like to paddleboard?
Percy Priest is a great spot. The Cumberland River is a great spot as well. There's some short drives as well. Like, when I think one of my favorite ones is Burgess Falls.
When you go, when's your favorite time?
I think that for myself personally, my favorite time would be kind of the bookends of the summer. So, when it's not too hot yet, I sweat a lot. I get overheated really quickly. But, I think that there's, really times that fit for everyone.
Time of the year, month, warm weather is one thing. What about a time of day?
Time of day. I really like morning.
Okay.
I think that there's a beauty to the morning.
I understand that you're a part of a midnight paddle group.
Yes.
What's that like?
So it's a really, really great evening. There's an organization here at Nashville Paddle that organizes a full moon paddle on Percy Priest Lake every full moon. And it's just a really beautiful time, to get out on the lake. It's nice and still, and it's really just kind of a great moment to form community as well. It's, I would say there's, about 20 or so paddlers that will go out depending on the time of day, or I'm sorry, the time of year. And, we all just kind of sit out there and talk and, catch up and, see this beautiful full moon out in the middle of the lake.
I got to imagine it has to be like the definition of serene.
Absolutely. It really, really is. I mean, it's a really special time. My husband and I try to get out there every month.
That sounds pretty cool. Now, Ranger Daniels, if someone wants to go swim or paddle in a state park, when is the best time of year for them to go?
I would say, yeah, I agree with Joel on the bookends of the summer. The summer, we stay busy all year, but the summer is really crowded. So if you're wanting to avoid those larger crowds, I would go early or late summer. But if you want to be in the mix of the crowds, that's also very intriguing for a lot of people to get out there and paddle with strangers. So any time of year, I would recommend.
I was about to ask, if there are any like winter paddleboarding enthusiasts, people who want to brave the cold?
Definitely.
There are.
There are. Like, they're kind of like the Polar Bear Club, essentially.
Yeah. It comes with a lot more preparation and gearing up for cold water and buying the proper clothing for that, including wetsuits, dry tops, and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a crowd that really enjoy getting out in the colder months. There's, especially for whitewater, there's usually some better whitewater to be had during those months.
You mentioned safety, gearing yourself up for cold, making sure that you can stay insulated and warm. No one wants to suffer from hypothermia out there. I'm interested in some of the summertime, other safety basics. I understand, like, we all need to make a plan and to be prepared to have a good day on the water. The Coast Guard recommends wearing a personal flotation device, or a PFD, also known as a life jacket, and checking the weather before you go out every time. Ranger Daniels, safety education also includes having a float plan. What is that? What exactly is a float plan?
So float plan is basically just your logistics for your paddle trip. It's going to go through what you're going to be paddling in, the number of people in your group and what they're paddling in, the descriptions of them, checking to make sure that you have all your safety equipment. If you're going to be leaving behind a vehicle, where is it at? Your general trip destination, along with a route in mind of where you're going, the time that you're estimated to be back, and leave that information with someone that you trust and know that if you're not back within that allotted time, that they can contact who they need to contact.
Joel, you're shaking your head in agreement. So it seems to me that it's more than just grabbing your board and getting out into the water. You have to really put a lot of thought into this before you go out on excursions.
Yeah, I think that being ready and having a plan is really important.
What type of plan do you and your husband have?
Well, we like to be prepared in our way as well. I mean, we want to be comfortable out in the water. So, making sure that we have a waterproof bag to place our belongings in. We like to bring in snacks as well. We personally like having like a fanny pack, on us so that way we can have, things inside that we need. And then, our boards have bungees on them as well. So we can place things on there as well and they don't fall off into the water.
Awesome. Now, if you're just tuning in, this is Nashville and I'm your host, Khalil Colonna. We're talking this hour about the plethora of water activities here in Tennessee. My guests are Joel Morales and Ranger Candace Daniels. Now, I'm interested about like some close calls you may have had out there on the water. Joel, have you had any?
I can't say I have. I mean, it's in my experience, it's been a really, really safe sport.
Safe.
Yeah.
Ranger Daniels?
I've had a couple, but it wasn't for anything other than my own negligence, admittedly.
Okay.
So I took a flat water, sit on top kayak in water that it wasn't rated for. And I got out real quick after realizing that. So that's been really my only close call.
Now, summertime, people are going on the water. They're enjoying the heat. They're enjoying the coolness that the water brings, but they're also enjoying beverages, alcoholic beverages. What should folks keep in mind? I want to hear from both of you. What should they keep in mind when it comes to drinking alcohol on or near the water? Ranger Daniels?
So it's a major factor in a lot of the boating fatalities and incidents. It actually attributes to 1/3 of them because it inhibits your judgment, your vision, and your balance and your coordination, which you need all of those to be safe while paddling on the water. So it's really vital that you stay away from that. It also contributes to your dehydration, which your body's going to start breaking down a lot faster if you're drinking alcohol and you're out in the sun and you aren't drinking the proper amount of water that you should be.
Joel, what's your policy on booze and being by the water?
I totally agree with every comment made, but I would say that we definitely break the rules every now and then, but personally for me, it's kind of more of I drink afterwards rather than during.
Okay.
And if I do have any drinking going on during, it's kind of like a one and done type of situation, just to kind of like take in that relaxation. But completely agree. I mean, you want to make sure that you're alert and aware and know yourself. So, if you're someone who, it only takes one, then I really wouldn't recommend it, during.
Yeah. Now, I'm interested in like how you kind of people get started. Like Ranger Daniels, we're going to be talking about kayaks and canoes coming up. But for someone who is interested in stand-up paddleboarding, would you recommend that they take one of the boater education courses that are offered out here?
Yeah, I do, because the boater's education course covers the foundation for what you need to know, even if you are using the paddleboard. It goes over the rules of the road, so to speak. Just because you're out there on a paddleboard doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want and other boats have to adhere to what you're doing. Everybody's got a role to play on the water, and it's your part to know what those roles are and to be a part of that. So I highly recommend it for anyone that's paddleboarding, canoeing, kayaking, what have you.
How much of a factor does the wind play when you're out there on the water? What do you have to be attentive of?
So the wind for paddleboards, kayaks, and canoes, especially paddleboards, it plays a huge factor. The surface area for a paddleboard, it's mostly on top of the water, so the wind's going to take it a lot faster than a canoe or a kayak. I'd recommend that, especially if you're a beginner, to look at the wind speed and make sure that it's 10 miles an hour or below, ideally 5 to 7. because you're also going to encounter wind gusts sometimes with that. So I would make sure that you stay below 10, even again 5 to 7 if you're just beginning, because it can really push you around and expend all your energy real quick. So I just try to get out there on a nice calm day if you're beginning.
We've really been talking about planning, learning how to enjoy the water, everything that you need to have a good time. Joel, how would you describe a perfect day on the water?
I would say, I'd probably refer back to my favorite paddle, which is over at Burgess Falls, is, getting out in the water with, a friend or two, or your husband or significant other, and, heading towards a destination. I think for me, it's, that ride over to the falls and really enjoying that moment and getting there and spending some time, with the falls and enjoying that and then coming back in. It's just a really, really nice day.
Ranger Daniels, what's your perfect outing on the water?
I think any outing on the water is a perfect outing for me personally. Like I said, I really like to fish while I'm out. So my perfect day is slaying the fish and being around good friends and family while doing that.
Well, thank you both for coming out into the show. Joel Morales is a paddleboarder here in Nashville, and State Park Ranger Candace Daniels is currently based in Harrison Bay State Park of Chattanooga. Thanks so much for being here with us. Ranger Daniels, stick around with us after the break.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We have to take a short break. When we come back, we'll hear from local kayakers about how they enjoy getting out on the water. Stay with us. This is Nashville.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from Burr and Foreman Law Firm, serving clients with transactional, litigation, and regulatory needs. Discovering how each client defines a win and working with them every step of the way to achieve it. Burr.com. Funding for This Is Nashville comes from Nobody Trashes Tennessee, the state of Tennessee's official litter prevention campaign, managed by TDOT. Details on how to be part of the solution to end littering at nobodytrashestennessee.com.
I'm Khalil Colonna, and this is Nashville. Today, we're talking about getting out to enjoy Tennessee's lakes, rivers, and ponds. Our state offers many great opportunities for paddle sports, including kayaking and canoe. The Tennessee Scenic River Association is a nonprofit dedicated to helping preserve our waterways and to providing river access and paddling education to the public. If you want to learn how to kayak or canoe here in Tennessee, TSRA and the community connected to it are a great resource to check out. Now, the TSRA also partners with Preston Taylor Ministries and the Sierra Club chapter here in Nashville to offer the Jack Lyle Memorial River Kids program, which gets kids who might not have experience being on a river or a lake out into the water over the summer. Joining us to tell us about TSRA's programs is Operations Manager Stephanie Sullivan. We also have Nashville 8th grader Gabby with us, who recently participated in the River Kids program. Stephanie and Gabby, thanks so much for being here. Welcome to This Is Nashville.
Thanks. Thank you for having us.
Really great. Okay, we're going to jump right in. Tell me this, Gabby, what's your favorite way to enjoy the summer? Enjoy water in the summer?
Definitely kayaking with my mom and my family. That's my favorite part.
That's your favorite part? What about it made it your favorite?
Just the nature around the creek or the lake, wherever you're kayaking, is so very peaceful, especially the sunset.
It's like totally different from social media, I bet, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephanie?
Oh, wow. I love the water as well. And lately I've been doing a lot of whitewater kayaking on the plateau area. So it's been great to get out and have a little more excitement on the rivers.
What is it like to do whitewater kayaking? I remember growing up seeing shows on PBS public television, and, you know, it's pretty gnarly, pretty intense a lot out there. Is it like that?
It can be gnarly, yes, but it is a challenge by choice. So, you know, some rivers are a little less gnarly than others, but it's a great way to really work on skills and up your game on the water. And then also, I think you have to work on your nerves. It takes focus in a way that oftentimes when you're out just enjoying the lake, it's great. But when you're in an intense situation, you really have to focus and calm your nerves and be in the moment. And I think that's why I love it so much.
Is it a workout? Looks like a pretty good workout, too.
It can be a pretty good workout, too. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, Gabby, I heard you've been enjoying the Harpeth here in Nashville this summer with your summer camp. When was your first time on a boat?
So about last summer, me and my mom for her birthday went kayaking and in New York, where we used to live, at Glimmerglass Lake. And we went there and we had an awesome time just enjoying everything and the river and the view around it, and it was very peaceful.
What did you think? You enjoyed the view? It seems like the natural part of it, being close to nature and the quiet, is something that appeals to you.
Yeah, definitely peaceful.
All right. Now, Stephanie, you're a whitewater kayaker, and on the extreme side sometimes. How'd you get started?
This was kind of a come out of COVID situation. So I grew up near the Stones in the Cumberland and did a lot of really calm waters and loved it. And then, I think just 2 years ago, kind of got involved with TSRA and got into the whitewater piece. And it's added a lot more excitement into what I've already always enjoyed.
That's pretty cool. Where do you like to go paddling most?
Definitely the Cumberland Plateau. Big South Fork River is a really great, beautiful natural area. That's one of my favorite places to be.
Now, Gabby, I want to hear about your experience with the River Kids program. You've gotten some time out there on the water. What kind of activities do they have you guys doing?
So first they had us learn how to get onto the kayak, which was very, very easy and very fun. It was a little bit challenging for other people, but I definitely got it. They had us do some on-water soccer games.
Okay.
That was really fun. We definitely all got very soaked and wet.
That's really fun. You went kayaking. So when you showed up, what were you thinking the first morning?
So I definitely thought we were at the wrong place because I didn't see any lake or creek or anything like that. But once we started walking into the trail, I definitely saw the little hut that they had us meet in, have us gather, got us checked in, everything like that. And then I started to be okay, I know where I am.
You felt comfortable. What kind of kayak? Was it a one-person kayak they had you in?
So some people wanted to go with their friends, and there were two-person kayak, a one-person kayak. I went on the one-person kayak because I just feel a lot more safer in a one-person kayak because it's just me and myself. I know how smooth I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna zoom through it, and I know I'm just gonna chill there on the water till everyone is set.
So did you learn safety techniques? What did you learn about what to do if you flipped over and how to get back into the kayak should you be expelled from it?
So they definitely did that. They taught us that we needed a partner or some paddler passing by. They were hey, this is what you need to do. So they had us purposely fall out of the canoe. And they had another swimmer or a paddler swim right next to the boat, and they flipped over the boat for us. They held our paddle. They helped us get back onto the boat and safe, I guess.
Yeah. Now, did all the rest of your peers enjoy being out there?
Yes, they did.
That's a good, fun time. I'm interested, tell me this. Would you tell an adult to go out there and have fun on the water?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm interested in, going kayaking and doing the whitewater stuff, Stephanie. As you talked about how intense it is and how it's different from maybe just paddleboarding where you can kind of not think and just be there and allow yourself to soak in the nature and the environment. But when you're kayaking on whitewater, you have to have that intense focus. Are you able to, feels like an athletic focus to me. When players really get in the zone. Talk to me about that. When you're out there, the water is rushing around you.
Yes, there's definitely moments where you have to be in the zone. And I think the best way to explain that sometimes too is when you're paddling a river, you want to know what's the rapids look like. So a lot of times you may pull over and scout a rapid or have someone who's gone down the river before show you the rapids because there's actually lines to take. And oftentimes you'll be in a squirrely situation, you'll look and a line will kind of just appear, a big green tongue. And that's what you take. And so it's a really neat moment to kind of, you're stressed out, you're looking for your line, and then sometimes you find it, and then you can hit it, and it's a really cool feeling just to hit that line, and it's actually not as gnarly when you're in the right place on the good line.
So you're not aimlessly, because I didn't know this establishment of lines, so you're not just kind of on the water letting the rapids take you. You are trying to find and then follow a specific path.
Absolutely. It's intentional. And then a lot of times, depending on the river, you'll have a rapid that you'll go through, and then you'll have a nice pool below where you can pull off and relax and kind of regroup or scout the next rapid, that kind of thing. So definitely it also really allows you to intimately know a river in a way, because you're knowing the features and how the water runs over the rocks in different areas and stuff too. So it's a really great way to kind of continually get to know the river and just the power of the water as well.
You got to give respect to that power, right? Now, you work with the TSRA, and the TSRA helps organize the River Kids program each year. How did the program start?
Well, the program is actually fairly new for a TSRA program. It started in 2019. One of our past presidents, Mary Buckner, worked with the Sierra Club, which has an outdoor program, and Preston Taylor to really get youth out on the rivers, especially some of the inner city youth who aren't on the rivers as much. And she did it in memory of her late husband, who's also a past president, Jack Lyle. So it's been a really great program to get more folks on the waterways. And there's a lot of waterways even in urban Nashville that even just growing up, I've never been on. So just really getting people to really enjoy what the resources we have here.
I understand you guys do kayaking 101 classes?
We do. We have a lot of classes. We have a kayak 101 class coming up in the 1st of August 3rd, I believe. You can rent a kayak through that as well, so you don't have to have a paddle craft to do that. And it's a great way to kind of get in and also maybe get in and see, do you want a paddleboard? Do you want a kayak? How do you want to be on the river as well, or the lake?
How much does it cost?
I'm actually not sure. It's definitely an affordable class. It is on our website, and you can check that out. It's a little more to rent a boat.
Okay.
But I think it's like $35 maybe, and then $65 with a boat or something like that.
That sounds reasonable for something that can be a lifelong pursuit.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville, and I'm your host, Khalil Ekalona. We're talking this hour about kayaking, canoeing, and the other water activities you can enjoy in our state. My guests are Nashville 8th grader Gabby and Stephanie Sullivan with TSRA. Now, we also have Ranger Daniels, who is still with us, State Park Ranger Candace Daniels. Ranger Daniels, can you tell us a little bit about the programs where people learn more about water sports and boating?
Yeah, the Tennessee State Parks offers a variety of classes or even boat rentals with a little bit of short intro. What you can do, again, you can get on that TN State Parks website and navigate to what park you want to go to and look at the upcoming events and see what they have going on. Several parks are going to be offering kayaking tours or canoeing tours throughout the summer. This is the time of year that we have our seasonal interpretive rangers, which focus primarily on programming. So there's going to be a lot more paddling opportunities through those programs this summer. So again, I'd recommend going to the website and seeing what works best for you in your location.
Now, I understand that you're currently helping with the Spirit of America Youth Boating Camp. What is that?
Oh, it's an amazing program. Started out of Ohio. Cecilia, she's the coordinator for it. She has done an amazing job getting this camp together. It goes from teaching the kids the boater's education course. So they'll come out with their boater's ed certificate. So they're certified to operate a outboard. We do 9.9 horsepower outboards. We teach them how to sail. And then we also teach them about paddling, kayaking, canoeing, and paddleboarding. Along with that goes water safety throughout the week. So they come out with a diverse experience in all things water related.
Now,
boating related.
I understand that there's National Safe Boating Week, and there's a big course that's being held during that time. Can Stephanie, can you tell me a little bit more about that one?
About the ACA National Boater Week. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. So that is a program with a lot of great partnerships during Safe Boater Weeks all around Tennessee and the state parks. We'll have kayaking 101 classes. So again, it's a good intro to how to get on the lake safely. And I believe 7 states actually participated this year, and Tennessee was one of the first to have that partnership as well. So it's been a great program and really help people get into the sport in a safe manner.
They get into a safe manner. All right. Now, Gabby, would you recommend to your friends that next summer or sometime this summer they get out there on the water and try some of the stuff?
Absolutely.
How would you sell it to them?
I would definitely tell them if they don't like it or if they've never tried it, give it a try, see how they like it. And if they like it, I recommend doing it more.
Okay. Now, you've tried the kayaking. Have you tried canoeing?
I have not, but I've heard it's a lot. It's pretty much the same as kayaking.
Are you game to try?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We can make that happen, Gabby.
Okay, so Stephanie, what is the difference between kayaking and canoeing besides the what do I call it, a boat, the vehicle?
Yeah, the vessel.
The vessel, there you are.
Vessel is different. Obviously, in a kayak, you're going to have a paddle with 2 blades, and in a canoe, you're only going to have 1. So it's a little different in how you paddle. But once you learn really how to read the water, and how to really navigate your craft, it becomes a lot easier. So, and in a canoe situation, oftentimes you'll have 2 people in the canoe, and we do have 2 people kayaks, but oftentimes you're by yourself, so you have to navigate the relationship part of it, which can be fun.
Yeah, Gabby, but like seeing that you like to rely on yourself, are there one-person canoes out there?
There are solo canoes, and there are whitewater canoes out there as well. Wow. So, yes.
Now, Gabby, I understand that you're currently saving up to buy your own gear.
I am.
What are you doing? How are you making money?
So my mom has this cleaning job, and she goes every, 2 times a week to clean. I have to babysit my little brother, which is a little challenging because you know how little kids get.
Yeah.
But I usually babysit like $5 an hour. I usually make a good $15.
Okay. Saving up. This is truly going to be a lifelong passion for you, huh?
Yeah.
Ranger Daniels, how does that sound to you? I mean, it's been a lifelong passion for you as well. How does it feel to you to have the next generation be into water sports?
Oh, it's awesome. I'm here for it, Gabby. You go get it. I think that the sooner you get the boat, the happier you'll be, and it'll be the first of many boats to come in your lifetime.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so a couple of last questions for you both. Stephanie, what are the most important things you would tell people to keep in mind so they can stay safe out there on the water?
I think we covered a lot, but obviously, wear that life jacket. Even if you're a good swimmer, you're going to need it. If you are passed out, you're not going to be able to swim. So make sure you have that life jacket on. Again, the hydration, sunscreen. Again, in the summer here, make sure you're really taking care of yourself out there. Have a whistle is always great. I know we're in a cell phone culture, but out on the water, the whistle can be one of the quickest, easiest ways to get someone to help you. And even Gabby mentioned when you're in the deep water trying to get back in your boat, it's always good to have help. So having a whistle on that life jacket is a great way to be safe as well. And again, make sure you tell people where you're going and have a plan.
All right. Now, Gabby, what's the best reason to make an effort to get out there and to try a paddle sport for the first time?
Definitely try it. Definitely try it. See if you like it. I recommend bringing a friend. They might encourage you to do different things that you've never tried in a kayak or a paddleboard. But, if you don't like it, that's okay. Maybe it's just not your destiny or your sport.
Mm-hmm. Has this experience inspired you to try new things?
Absolutely, definitely, yes.
All right. This is really a lot of fun. I want to thank you both so much for being here. Nashville 8th grader Gabby, and she was joined by Tennessee Park Ranger Candace Daniels and Stephanie Sullivan with TSRA. Thanks to you all so much. We'll be seeing you on the water.
Great. See you there.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we're going to take one more break. When we return, we'll be turning our attention to the beloved sport here in Tennessee, fishing. Stay with us. To kick off National Safe Boating Week, the American Canoe Association will offer Kayaking 101 classes across the state on Saturday, May 18th for only $15, including an adaptable kayaking option. These classes typically cost $50 and $100. You can sign up at tnstateparks.com. And as always, you can join the conversation by tweeting us at This Is Nashville. We'll be right back.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil Ekalona, and this is Nashville. Today we're talking about enjoying Tennessee's natural waterways. Now we're turning our attention to fishing. Joining us to tell us more about the increasing popular sport of kayaking fishing is Joff Luckett. He is an ACA kayak and kayak fishing instructor who helped co-author the ACA Paddle Sports Angler Program, and Blake Osborne, the MTSU Outdoor Pursuits Coordinator who trains the MTSU staff for whitewater and recreational paddling activities. Joff and Blake, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to This Is Nashville, gentlemen.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so you both love fishing. Super popular sport. It's probably one of the first sports, I imagine, Got to eat, but it's also fun to catch some fish. What is your favorite kind of fishing, Joff?
To be honest with you, I like to catch panfish and trout.
Okay.
Here in Middle Tennessee.
Those are the ones.
But I like to fish for anything, so it doesn't really matter.
Then it doesn't matter if you catch anything or not, does it?
It doesn't. If you're out there, especially that's one of the great things about the kayak is I like to be out there when the sun comes up and it's like the world turns on. Mm-hmm. It's quiet, and then you start hearing birds, and you see the deer and turkey, and it's like watching the world come awake. So.
Wow, that sounds pretty cool. Blake, what's your favorite kind of fishing?
The only fishing that I do is trout fishing. I'm terrible at everything else, and I love fly fishing. I'm not great at it, but I do love it.
Okay. Now, kayaking fishing is a very fast-growing sport. Joff, can you break down what it actually is? I mean, I can imagine you get on the kayak, you go out there in the middle of a body of water, and you're fishing. But I understand it's a lot more than that.
Well, it can be. So what's happened is for years, people fish off the bank, and having a power boat was kind of out of reach. And then, the kayak industry exploded, the cost of kayaks came down, and a lot of anglers saw it as a way to get off the bank and fish areas that they've looked at, they couldn't get to, and now they can use this little plastic boat to get to areas that they'd like to fish.
Now, okay, so where do you find bigger yields? On a kayak in the middle or on the banks?
It depends what it opens up to. Typically, when you bank fish, you have a really limited area. You can try a couple of spots, and if the fish aren't biting, you have to load up and go somewhere else. When you have a kayak, you can get out in the water and hit more spots from that same location without having to gather all your stuff and move.
How can you tell when there's a great location to fish on the kayak?
A lot of that comes to angling skills and finding cover, and depends on time of year. It gets really in depth.
Okay. Now, Blake, have you tried kayak fishing?
Yep. Yeah.
What was the experience like for you?
The first time I was out, I'm a really good kayaker, and I went out with my friend who is a good kayaker and bass fisherman, and I found out really quickly I was not good at bass kayak fishing. I couldn't set the hook. It was a little bit windy. I was more focused on fishing than paddling. So that was my first experience. I didn't like it. And the past couple of years, I've tried it again, and I like it a lot more. I know where to go. I know what type of gear to go for. I'm on rivers that have the trout in them. I know where to go, and I'm better at it now, so it's more enjoyable.
One of our earlier guests, Ranger Daniels, mentioned how much you have to be aware of the wind when you're out there on the water. And so is it something, obviously if you're on the bank, you can just cast your line, kind of sit there and relax until you get a bite. But I imagine if it's a little bit windy, you're moving along. You might be leaving that great area that you found. What are you doing to I could just imagine a lot of paddling is going to disturb the fish that you're trying to catch. How do you try to maintain a steady position while also fishing?
So all of that comes through experience, and a lot of that is the reason we came up with the kayak fishing curriculum. So in the past, kayak anglers have figured that out through trial and error. Like Blake was saying, going out and being frustrated. And so with this kayak angling class, we discuss a lot of that and how to kind of pre-plan. You can't pre-plan for everything, but how to take into account, look for wind direction before you go, wind speeds before you go, protected areas, depending on which direction the wind's coming from. You can fish a certain bank to be out of the wind. All that stuff you have to think about before you go.
How can people sign up and take these classes?
So here in Middle Tennessee, the best places to check is Tennessee Scenic Rivers, Stephanie's organization. They have an education calendar on their webpage. And then also the American Canoe Association, if you go on their webpage, they have a calendar of events or classes that you can search by location. And that's the easiest two ways to find it here in Middle Tennessee.
I understand you went through a 2-year process with the ACA, American Canoe Association, to create this curriculum.
Yeah, so when we rewrote this, they had a curriculum and it needed to be addressed. So when we rewrote the curriculum, the ACA has been a leader in paddle sports education for over 100 years. So they take very serious anything that they're going to publish and teach to the public. So we had to, write the program, and then we had to present it in front of all the committees: the River Rafting Committee, the Whitewater Committee, the Coastal Committee. So there's all these committees within the ACA, and we had to present it to them, and then they had to give feedback and things that they would like to see in the program. So it was, it was a back and forth for almost 2 years to get it passed.
I'm questioning about I'm a kayak angler, right? What type of gear do I need? What makes the biggest difference in terms of safety, really?
So, safety is pretty much the same as they've talked about earlier. You need your PFD and you need to have it on. Just having it on the boat is not sufficient. When you're fishing and you have all the gear, you have extra entanglement hazards just by nature on the boat with you. And that's one of the reasons the program came about, is how to manage that stuff. So you need to have your PFD, you need to have your whistle, your sounding device. Anglers like to fish at night. If you're in a kayak without a motor, you need a white light that you can use to signal a boat if it's close. If you're in a kayak that has a motor, which a lot of anglers are now adding trolling motors, electric motors, then by law in Tennessee, you have to have the red and green bow lights, just like a motorized craft.
So walk me through the unfortunate scenario if I'm out there fishing and I flip over. I've got fishing gear on my kayak. How do I get back in? So
that's one of the other things we teach in our program is how to re-enter the kayak, but not just that, how that relates to kayak angling. So you take a regular kayak class to teach you how to re-enter in deep water. And in the angling class, you have to arrange the stuff in your boat to leave you a spot to re-enter if you happen to capsize. If you have stuff all up and down both gunnels of your boat, there's no place to get back in. So then after you right the boat, you have to adjust stuff to figure out how to get back in the boat. So we discuss all that in the class about how to arrange, have a spot, teach you how to get back into that spot, practice it, so you feel comfortable and you know that you can get back in your boat.
It sounds pretty stressful.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, Blake, you run the Outdoor Pursuits program at MTSU. And MTSU, as people may know, they offer a lot of outdoor activities, programs to students, from training and tips throughout the year. A lot of those you run with your staff, and you teach water safety and white water activities. During the school year, you offer pool sessions for people to come practice on how to roll their canoe or kayak. Tell me a little bit more about this. Like, who shows up?
Yeah, so we have 3 or 4 instructors every Wednesday night, around 6 to 8 o'clock. It's free for students. And then we do have a little charge for members of the public, but we have people coming from Nashville. It's a 45-minute drive. We have people coming down from Kentucky, up from Alabama, because there's not many places that have a pool that's willing to let kayakers come, let alone the staff to run that. So we have people that come very experienced. They're just coming to look, to practice in the off season while it's cold outside usually. But then we'll get new people that have never been in a whitewater kayak. And so we'll teach them how to get in the kayak, how to outfit it, how to wet exit, which is something you learn before you learn to roll so that you can get out of the boat in case you do capsize and can't flip it back over.
What is a wet exit?
So when you're in a whitewater kayak, you have a spray skirt on. So that's kind of attaching you to the kayak so that water doesn't get in when you flip over, so then you can right yourself back up. But in the chance that you can't roll back over, on a couple tries, you have to leave the boat so you don't stay underwater. So we teach you how to pop the skirt out and then how to safely exit the boat and then, come up out of the water and then chase down your gear.
Okay. Now, speaking of gear, you all offer an extensive gear rental program, but you're kind of different where you let folks take the gear anywhere with them. Can you tell me what you offer and what do you want people to know about the equipment that they can rent from MTSU?
Yeah, so we have about $200,000 worth of toys at the office. So my son loves coming into Dad's office. And yeah, a lot of programs will rent just to students, but we have the unique opportunity to rent to the public. And we have everything to get you out for camping, backpacking. We have a lot of tailgating games and canopy tents, and I just bought some Blackstone grills that we can rent out to people. Our most popular items, though, are our kayaks and stand-up paddleboards. We have around 55 different types of kayaks, 55 kayaks, whitewater, sit-on-tops, and inflatables. And then we have about 10 or 12 canoes and then 12 whitewater kayaks people can rent.
Is everyone eligible to rent these?
You can come today.
I just got to show up,
Let's
drive
go.
down to MTSU, and you're renting me a canoe.
Yes. And our public pricing for all of our kayaks, all of our single kayaks are $35, and that's Friday to Monday. So we like long weekends. We're not open on Saturday, Sunday. And if you don't have a truck or a roof rack, we have the inflatable kayaks. They're really nice. They're not something we just bought at Walmart. They're about $1,000 each. Rated to take down class 4. I don't recommend it if you're not experienced, but high quality that you can just throw in the back of your trunk and not have to mess with, a roof rack or truck.
And so it's worth talking to an expert before you go.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we do versus just like going out and buying your own. It's a lot cheaper to rent. See if you even like the activity. You might hate it. We hope you love it. But if you come in and talk to me or any of my staff, we'll talk about where to go, what to take, tips and tricks, things like that. So
now, we talked about safety a lot, but I'm also interested in potential, some of the safety near misses you all may have had. One of our producers, the producer of this show, is an avid kayaker and an avid boater. And over the holiday weekend, she was telling us of a pretty dicey situation that she was in. Have either one of you been faced with a dangerous situation when you're out there on the water?
Yes. One winter, I was fishing the Harpeth River in January, and it was right at the end of the day. I made a paddle stroke mistake, and I capsized in the water. Air temp was about 38, and water temp was high 40s, low 50s. So it was pretty precarious.
Wow. Give me your emotional state. What was going through your mind?
Well, luckily the water wasn't super deep. I was wearing my PFD. I was paddling with an experienced paddler. I had the proper clothing on. But even with all of that, we were right at the truck. It was about 100 yards to the truck, and by the time I got to the truck, my hand was shaking. I could barely get my key in my truck.
Wow.
So, it turned dangerous pretty quick.
Yeah.
Even with two experienced paddlers.
Yeah. So anyone who's a novice and at any level, always pay attention and never take your knowledge for granted.
Yes.
Blake?
Yeah. The biggest thing too, and he said it, don't ever go alone. Because if you're alone, it gets really dicey much quicker. I was trying to do the math on the amount of boaters I've had go through programs or rent from us, and it was over 7,000 people.
Wow.
Over the past 10 years, and not just me, but we've never had any major injuries or mistakes made on a personal trip. I was whitewater kayaking, the river was up, and I made a bad stroke, and I got pinned up against a tree that had fallen down. and there was only two places to go. I could either get out of the kayak or lean the wrong way and go under the tree. And I leaned the right way, and I got out onto the tree, and then was safe.
And
but it could have gone real bad real quick.
And you're here to tell the tale.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate you both being here. Joff Luckett is the co-author of the ACA Paddle Sports Angler Program, and Blake Osborne is the MTSU Outdoor Pursuits Coordinator. Thanks you both for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And just a heads up for our listeners, we will have links to all of these programs we mentioned today on the web post for this episode. And remember, a few things can make a big difference. Have a plan, wear a PFD, and check the water. Have fun out there. Thanks to all of you for tuning in this hour. This is Nashville is a production of Nashville Public Radio. Today's episode was produced by our resident water expert, Katherine Ceicys. It was directed by Tasha A.F. Lemley. Our technical director and board operators, Liv Lombardi. The masterminds behind our theme music are LaRange and Namir Blade. Special thanks to Andrea White of ACA, Laura Franklin from the Tennessee State Parks, and Margaret Littman of Nashville Paddle Company. As always, you can listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get good podcasts. Conversation does not end here. Tweet us at This Is Nashville. Find us on Instagram. Tell us who you want from our show by finding out our quick survey online. I want to wish a very happy birthday to my mom, Olafemi A. Kulona. How many of your other kids are giving you birthday shout outs on live radio? It's good to be the favorite. This is Nashville. I'm Khalil A. Kulona. We'll see you tomorrow.